one winner's final spot has been decided. We're going to figure out the other one right now. The sword of Big Mike against the paralyzer gun of Dylan. We're going to go
Battlefield.
Hmm.
Huh. All right, well, one way or another, we're looking at Zero Suit versus Marth, which in itself leads to a pretty fun matchup. We've actually seen these characters a couple of times around.
I cannot afford to lose.
Marth's going to
Yeah,
be my plenty of space when it comes to squirrely opponents, the likes of Zero Suit. But Dylan being very selective of when to approach and when to zone out, I think is going to. This is going to be a good set for seeing strong decision-making skills from the players. They're both explosive in their own right, but the ability for them to be able to like actually make that explosion happen on their own terms, that's going to be the tricky part.
and it's one of those deals where you're definitely trying to control the game your own way, and there's no way that you can ever let the there's no way that you can use your thing and let the other guy have their thing. It's got to be one or the other. There is no sharing. It's got to be all your game plan and none of theirs. There really is no room for quarter, especially when you're talking about one of the smaller stages in terms of surface area, like Battlefield, where we are going for this game number one, as they're going to had that quick little check at the beginning there, and as we kick things off, relatively even to start things out. However, Dylan looking to separate themselves in more than just physical space, Hangman.
I think Battlefield for the start is going to make things pretty interesting, mostly because both of these characters are going to excel at controlling that base plat. But the triplat themselves are going to offer a lot of ability for being able to mix up your landings and mix up how you control the ledge. Additionally, both Zero Suit and Marth do a great job of sharking those platforms, so both characters have to be wary about if they're going to stick around them too long. Finding out from center stage is going to be super important because of how defensible this stage is. And it looks like Dylan's taken that road immediately as he's built up plenty of percentage onto Big Mike.
Big Mike looking to use that platform to their advantage real early on, just showing them, hey, I got this sword, I ain't afraid to use it, and I will up smash you if you give me the opportunity. So Dylan, perhaps finding something to be wary about, however, responding with an up smash of their own from the center of the stage, not finding the kill just yet, but even in percentage, one big swing will do it. And indeed, that big swing comes. Dylan connects with the back air, drawing first blood in this winner's semifinal clip.
All right, so we've seen some pretty interesting interactions right off the bat. Big Mike willing to use counter as a defensive measure just to make sure he doesn't get buried. Super important to try and avoid from flip kick from Zero Suit. But additionally, Dylan being aware that there's a lot of ways for Big Mike to get out of these dangerous situations and being able to act accordingly. We're probably going to see a lot of situations like that, where the players are trying their best just to get the upper hand in quick succession.
I mean, it's either their way or your way. There is, again, not a whole lot of room for debate here. Big Mike, certainly on the back end right here. However, trying to get this kill at 160. You don't want this ZSS hanging around for too much longer. It is going to be scary, and that is a warning shot from Dylan. Is able to secure the kill off of the missed boost kick, but man, that is just a little scary from Big Mike. Sitting at 109 themselves. It's interesting. Dylan, again, so very consistent, perhaps a little bit more used to this rarefied air of winner's side here, Hangman. Makes you wonder if experience is the difference.
It could definitely be a factor, especially when you consider the fact that, Zero Suit, fast character, takes a lot of stones to pilot very effectively in these more tense situations. But that kind of speed comes at the cost when you have a character like Marth who, if sitting pretty, Big Mike can just react. Just constantly run back and just try to space out. If just to keep him out, if not to hit him with zippers to try and secure early kills.
Dylan sitting with this 2 stocks to 1 deficit. However, Big Mike may be in a little bit better of a position to secure an early kill, at least earlier than the one that he had last time. So something to be said about that potential. Big Mike going to shield the initial approach. However, the jab just a little too much to handle and is pushed off stage at 60%. We'll be able to secure that kill, but Dylan, oh, you thought you had the play in mind, and then you get flip kicked into oblivion. Dylan securing the 1-0 lead for themselves as we go into game number 2. Big Mike's tournament life on the line, but that flip kick, highlight reel quality stuff.
No, Stu, I was just about to highlight something really peculiar about Big Mike's style of Marth play, where we're seeing the single use of dancing blade, to stall in the air, which that's pretty typical. But doing it off stage is very dangerous against the likes of Zero Suit. It worked out a couple of times, but Dylan caught onto that and took full advantage in that last interaction.
I mean, it's
You've got to be careful with risky movement like that.
It's one thing to tee yourself up on a platform, isn't it, Hangman? Like, those things are just there. They're not going to move. If you get caught, yes, that's on you. But at the same time, it's just to be expected sometimes. You think you have the idea. That's just not going to be it. But then to do it off stage in the middle of the air where you have nothing below you except blast zone. Oh, Dylan is going to take advantage of that every single time, coiled up like a viper and ready to strike. An absolutely venomous flip kick to take game number 1. And Dylan is not done yet. Nair going to carry Big Mike off stage. However, turning garbage into gold. Big Mike taking full advantage. You're not the only one that needs to be, I'm not the only one that needs to be careful off stage, says Big Mike. That might just be the kickstart that they needed.
It's a hell of a reversal. Yeah, I have nothing else to say on that match. Just like Dylan is rolling with the punches, loses an early stock, but is not missing a beat with keeping up this pressure, trying to do something to Big Mike. But again, Big Mike just sitting here trying to respond as best as he can, just to keep Dylan off of him, build up the damage accordingly. However, poorly chosen options at the ledge, it's going to lead to a kill.
And that's exactly what Dylan needed to do to get back into this game. Not be too trepidous with their approaches. Okay, those Nair combinations are nice, but sometimes you just got to sit back, let the Paralyzer do the work at times. I have not seen Plasma Whip utilized all that much, except on those fastballs back to the stage. And now we're seeing just a little bit more of a controlled effort from Dylan, as that Plasma Whip is again going to be utilized coming down back to the stage and through that hop. I'm liking Dylan's general game plan. Now, the scoreboard might not show it, but really has been in control of this past minute or so, and it's been a pretty solid effort from Big Mike as well, but simply not able to get in. Dylan not allowing a lick of it.
Playing at such a well-controlled space, too. Like, max distance from side B, max distance for short hobs there. Like, Big Mike doesn't really have a burst option that close, or I guess that far, from Dylan. So Dylan's able to just respond accordingly, build up super safe damage while keeping that pressure up. But a shield break is going to lead to some big difference in it. There we go.
Ooh,
just like that. Tying up stocks. How are we looking?
That is the great equalizer, isn't it, Hangman? You think you have it all figured out, and then Marth just pulls that out, and it gets you right back into the game. However, Dylan, consistent as ever, building this damage right back up, grabs on shield, and Big Mike is going to make an effort to get back to the stage, but Dylan's coverage of the ledge options is so effective, it's so clean, and you know, it's never one of those things that'll absolutely break you unless you allow it to be, but it really can be a sort of death by 1,000 cuts scenario where it happens so often and he tags you so much that you're just bound to die from it one way or another, either directly off of it or just by the accumulation of the times that you tried to get up in Dylan's face and they simply just did not allow it. And now continuing on.
Trying to get this hit confirmed.
Exerting stage control, another flip kick. Big Mike thanking Divine Providence that there is a stage to catch him that time. And hanging around at 115. This is winner's side stock for Big Mike. Got to get a little bit more damage and perhaps maybe a fortuitous swing of the back air hitbox to confirm this kill. However, Dylan not allowing
forward smash or
another one.
Right.
Another one.
Just make it happen, making the dream come true. We're going right into a game 3.
How do you let that happen twice?
Following the script perfectly.
Big Mike. A beautifully executed. I mean, Dylan, I have to say, that was a very good game from Dylan until you got caught by Shield Breaker twice. That is that is something that can mentally boom a lesser player, Hangman. I can't even take that out of the realm of possibility for Dylan, to be quite honest with you. But, I mean, how do you recover from that?
Take into consideration the fact that we're constantly seeing in these little situations where Big Mike is in control, he's constantly just being able to put pressure on Dylan to force him into shield. We're seeing him poke with forward air, with back air, with forward tilt even. And it's those little hits that are just constantly putting Dylan in a position where he knows, all right, I'll get my out of shield option. He'll have to stop pressing buttons eventually. I'm safe here. You keep putting him into that position, you're conditioning perfectly for Shield Breaker to put out as much damage as it can. And those weren't full shields at any point. And that wasn't Tipper from Shield Breaker at any point. It was just very well played from Big Mike. But he's got to carry that momentum into Game 3. Otherwise, it's curtains.
I mean, it wasn't even momentum. It was more just like stalling out whatever Dylan had built up. And, you know, you garner just a little confidence in yourself, and then you get shield broken. I can't imagine Dylan will let that happen again. But Big Mike, I mean, that was those were deceptive 2 stocks that we saw Big Mike take. Can never count the big guy out. So big plays from Big Mike in a big situation on their winner's side stock, not getting up into that down smash. Big Mike, neutral get up in the face of ZSS is always a matter of trepidation, is it not, Hangman?
You gotta be careful with whatever your strong zero, especially because at any point she can either retreat, it still has a response. Jump in the air, still has a response. Hang around shield, she still has a response. And Dylan he's still quite reserved with how he's responding to Big Mike whenever he is put into a disadvantageous state. But I don't know now. Dylan's probably going to be a lot more wary for trying to utilize shield, probably going to try to react more with quicker burst options. But it remains to be seen how the control is going to lend itself to PS2. I think Zero Suit's tools are very strong on this stage, especially if we're going to be seeing a bit more of the waiting game. You know, a lot more of the side B, a lot more of the Zair for those confirms. Whatever he can get into the boost kick, I think it's going to be a lot more of that reactionary play from Dylan. So seeing how Big Mike flips the script and tries to get in his pokes, I think is going to be the more interesting adaptation as we move forward.
Oh, and Big Mike, perhaps looking for a little bit of chancery with that up B. And again, this is Dylan taking a full stock lead here. However, never quite count Big Mike out. Well spot dodged on the plasma whip.
Not managing to confirm side B, though. Dancing Blade at higher percentages is such a crapshoot, because you have to account for having more knockback from the Rage, trying to make sure that you time it right for the Tipper finisher. It's a mess. When you get it, it's great, but it's a mess.
Beautiful chase into that down smash to get Dylan off stage. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's always just a little messy, but the survivability of Dylan seems to make up for that. I mean, I'm just saying, this is one of the lighter 20%. Yeah, it's a character in the lighter 20% of characters. I'm not really sure ZSS should be living quite this long with a character that can be as dangerous as Marth. Good little neutral get up. Not able to punish the up B, excuse me. because they were busy in their grab animation. But doesn't stop Dylan from taking a 3 stocks to 1 lead.
It's wild.
I mean,
Any of these moves that tip a range, besides down tilt, we get it done. But forward, up throw, okay.
sure.
I mean,
Look,
like 190, anything is possible.
It works is what is all that matters. So they're at 190. It's the lowest stage that you have in competitive Ultimate. Sure, just let it happen. Why not? So, swinging away, trying to take this early stock, but that has not been what Big Mike has gotten their kills on. It's only been those big confirms that have kept him into this thing. Got to build up into it. Death by 1,000 cuts, quite literally, with that sword of Marth's. May very well be the key. Well shielded, however. The defensive play of Big Mike, though the stock score might not show it, has been what's kept him in this thing.
Hey, listen, he's still staying alive, even at the stock deficit. Still swinging at Dylan every opportunity he gets. It's not too out of the realm of possibility for him to bring it back, especially with the whiffed boost kick. Big Mike getting his second lease on life. Let's see what he can do with it.
Mike felt the breeze off of those rocket heels, man. That was absolutely crazy. And saw the life flash before young Marth's eyes there as Dylan may be wondering what may have been if they are not able to secure this kill. Hanging around at 110, Big Mike needs to take this stock now if they want any chance. However, you're going to walk right into that plasma whip. That is a tough one to swallow, and will be looking for this counter to kill. Is not going to find anything. However, old reliable F-tilt gives him just a little bit of space. And I'm not really sure how Big Mike works their way back into this one. You need the kill right now, and then maybe the shield breaker at 50, drive him to ledge, and then F-smash. That's the only thing I can think of right now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a rough situation. It's doable, especially like Marth with max rage can get very dangerous very quickly. And Dylan is being very reserved with choosing kill options here. I think at this point, Big Mike has learned how to properly respond to at least reset to neutral against all of these situations. And a proper response to boost kick is going to give Big Mike the chance for the biggest reversal of this bracket.
I mean, Dylan's efficiency is something to be admired. Has those stocks, but you went just a little too low on the recovery. That is a rough one to have to lose. And the survivability of Dylan, sometimes it's survive in advance. And when you live